Place 2 upright crow's nests on the ground, T-nut side down, then position the crow's nest front over the ends, attaching with wafer bolts. Measure to make sure the upright crow's nests are 25.5 inches apart, then tighten with wafer bolts. Position a crow's nest bottom side flush to the inside edge of a post on the slide end panel and make sure the pilot holes are on the bottom. Attach the crow's nest bottom side with 3 wood screws. Then repeat to install a second crow's nest bottom side on the other post. Move the lower crow's nest assembly into the opening of the slide end panel. It will fit between the crow's nest bottom sides. Make sure the assembly is tight to the top of the floorboards. Attach it using 4 wood screws through the pre-drilled holes on the crow's nest back. Place a short crow's nest joist so that it's on the inside of a crow's nest bottom side. Once it's flush at the back and bottom, attach the short crow's nest joist with 3 1 3/8 inch wood screws through the pre-drilled holes on the crow's nest bottom side. Install a second short crow's nest joist on the other side of the opening. Then, from inside the assembly, use 2 2.5 inch wood screws to connect each short crow's nest joist to the crow's nest back. Lift the upper crow's nest assembly into place so that it's flush to the front and bottom of each crow's nest bottom side. Install 1 screw per side in the bottom holes. Connect the crow's nest front at the bottom using 8 3-inch wood screws to attach it to the crow's nest gusset and crow's nest joist. From inside the assembly, use 2 3-inch wood screws to attach the end of each crow's nest gusset to the slide end panel. Lay the crow's nest gap board into position so it's flush to the front of the crow's nest front and the notched corners fit tightly. Now place a crow's nest floorboard flush to the back of the crow's nest back. Insert 1 more crow's nest floorboard in between. Attach the floorboards with 8 wood screws each and use 6 screws to secure the crow's nest gap board. Move a crow's nest spacer into position so that it's tight to the front of an upright crow's nest. Attach it with 3 wood screws into the upright and 1 wood screw through the crow's nest bottom. Repeat those steps to install a second crow's nest spacer on the other side. Position 1 crow's nest top across the front of the crow's nest spacers and 2 porch posts in an upright position behind the upright crow's nests. Loosely attach the crow's nest top to the porch posts with 1 hex bolt and T-nut per side. Make sure that the porch posts are flush to the edge of the upright crow's nest and attach using 3 wood screws per board. Now, measure to make sure that the distance between the crow's nest top and the crow's nest gap board is 27 inches and that the distance between the upright crow's nests is 25.5 inches. If the measurements are correct, it's time to tighten the hex bolts. If the dimensions are off, you'll need to loosen the hardware and readjust until the measurements are correct. Place crow's nest short so it's flush with the crow's nest top and attach it using 6 wood screws. Next, position 1 porch support against the porch post. Make sure that it's flush with both edges of the porch post and attach using 3 wood screws. Repeat this step for the other side. Position 1 crow's nest side flush to the top and front of the crow's nest top. Double check that the board is level and attach one end into the crow's nest short from the outside using 2 wood screws and the other end into the panel from the inside using 2 wood screws. Install a second crow's nest side the same way on the other side. Move a cedar wall into position so that it's tight to the porch post and tight to the floor and gap boards. Attach the cedar wall to the crow's nest bottom side and the crow's nest side with 4 wood screws. Then measure 2 1/4 inches over from the edge of the first cedar wall and position a second one. Attach it with wood screws. Repeat those 2 steps to install a pair of cedar walls on the other side of the crow's nest. Move 2 TNR2 slide elbows into position so that their edges touch. Push the end of a pan bolt through one of the recessed holes along the edge and connect the two with a lock nut. Make sure the lock nut is always on the side with the hexagonal recess. Use a total of 8 pan bolts to complete the elbow section. Next, connect a TNR2 slide RT flange to a TNR2 slide LT flange. Use pan bolts to attach them and tighten to complete the flange assembly. Connect a TNR2 slide exit top and a TNR2 slide elbow together. Use 8 pan bolts to secure them, creating the exit elbow assembly. With some assistance, connect the flange assembly to the crow's nest. Make sure the edges fit snugly into the opening, then pre-drill 4 holes at least 1 inch deep through the mounting locations along the bottom. Use 4 2-inch pan screws and screw bezels to connect the bottom edge of the flange assembly to the fort. Then attach the flange at the top using 4 1-inch pan screws and screw bezels. Use 5 1-inch pan screws to secure the flange assembly on each side. Move an elbow assembly into position at the opening of the flange assembly. Rotate the elbow assembly until the arrows line up with the arrows on the flange assembly. Loosely attach the assemblies together using the designated pan bolts and square lock nuts. Attach another elbow assembly to the one you just installed and then attach 3 more after that. Make sure that the bolts are only installed loosely for now. If you're having trouble lining up the holes, the Quadrex driver can be used to help with the alignment. Next, fit the edge or flange of the exit elbow assembly into the slot in the TNR3 short exit. Rotate the exit to align the holes. It's a good idea to use your Quadrex driver as a guide pin. Once the holes are lined up, starting from the bottom middle hole, connect the 2 pieces using 5 1/4 by 3/4 inch pan bolts. Now it's time to go back and tighten all the slide bolts. You'll need a 7/16 open-ended wrench to hold the nut and your Quadrex driver to tighten the bolts. Take the exit end assembly and fit it to the last elbow assembly by lining up the arrows. Make sure the elbows are oriented correctly and attach with 6 of the designated pan bolts and square lock nuts. Place 2 clamp rings around each joint on the slide. Position the clamp rings so that the ends meet with the arrows on the elbows. Connect the clamp rings together in 2 locations using 1/4 by 1 inch pan bolts and lock nuts. If you're having trouble installing the bottom set of clamp rings, it's okay to rotate them 90 degrees so that you're able to install the bolts.